Hi everybody, Ronnie here. Thanks for tuning in. So today I've been asked quite a bit about how to do an RPG. Okay, sort of like World of Warcraft. We've been doing working on the Hearthstone clone in another series of videos, and if you're watching those, thank you very much. I'm working on the next one right now, and it should be up tomorrow. Um, but in the meantime, I am going to go ahead and also start an RPG project, and we'll see how that works. So, uh, the first thing we want to do is create a new project. Once again, I'm using 2018.2, and we'll just go ahead and call this Action RPG Tutorial. Of course, it's going to be like World of Warcraft to an extent. So we're going to make it 3D. And for this, to add a little speed to things like, building, and because, Ronnie is not an artist, we're going to add some assets from the standard asset package. So the first thing we want do. Well, okay. I don't see my standard assets here. That's fine. We'll go ahead and do it from inside Unity. So let's go ahead and create our project. I do want to go and thank everyone for their patience. Things have been a little bit crazy here with school recently, so I have not been uploading as much as I would like to. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please hit that. It's down in the bottom here, and I would really appreciate a like. Now, you'll notice pretty quickly that we're handling this project significantly differently than a trading card game. Okay, with the trading card game, we're going to be we're building all of the functionality up front. With an MMO type game, we need to get the networking functioning pretty quickly. The reason for that is because the local game client is not going to be handling things like uh, enemies. Okay, um, you know the classic, WoW quest. Go kill 5 boars. Those boars are going to be hosted on the server, not on the client. So we need to get the networking up pretty quickly in order to continue adding functionality. We might get some of that done today. Might be the next video, but it's going to be really fast. So here we are in our main scene, and the first thing we want to do is go to our assets, import package, and there are 2 packages that I want to import. The first one is cameras, and we'll just go ahead and grab the whole package. Now this will cause the size of the project to balloon, but don't worry. When we build, it will only hold include the parts that are actually being used by the game. Ignore the errors here; they don't really matter. And the other asset package that I want to include is characters. Go ahead and just import the whole thing there also. So yes, we will be playing with Ethan today. I considered actually using Ellen from the 3D game kit, but importing all of the 3D game kit is too much. And I haven't dug in quite enough to determine if I can get Ellen all by herself. I mean, I'm sure I can, or I just don't know what dependency she has. I'll work on that. But for today, we're just going to go ahead and work with Ethan. One last thing that we're going to need, and this is kind of just for looks, but I'm going to go to the asset store, and I am going to grab some terrain textures. Okay, I've already found the ones I like. I'll just go terrain, and as always, I'm going to keep this free so that so I'm not using things that that not everybody has. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Realistic Terrain Collection Light. It'll be fine for now. And just import that. You'll have to download it if you haven't downloaded it already. I did download it. And it's actually pretty small, so that's fine. This actually has terrains in it. We're not going to use the terrains that are included. I guess I could actually just use a terrain. One of the included terrains. I don't see why not. It's just all I'm using the terrains for is just some place for Ethan to stand. So maybe I'll just do that. All right. So that's in, and back to our scene. Let's go ahead and get a look and see what those terrains look like. I suppose I can make that work. It's a little hilly, but it's someplace nice and flat, though. So there's a nice flat spot that we can use for Ethan to stand on. just for the moment. That'll work. So let's go ahead and close that. Go into our standard assets, characters. I'm going to choose the third person character, go to our prefabs, and use the third person controller. And just drop it right there. And now I'm going to zoom in because this is a huge terrain. Okay, there's Ethan, and I'm going to rename him from third person controller to player. And I'm going to change his tag. This is an important step here, from untagged to player as well. The next thing I'm going to do is hop out of characters, go to cameras, grab a prefab, and I want the multi-purpose camera rig. And I'm just going to drag this up here so it's close to, so they're grouped together. And congratulations, right there. That is character and camera all set up. Don't believe me? Let's go ahead and give it a play. And let's get rid of the main camera. Oh my word. Okay. Now let's give it a play. And there we go. So Ethan can run. The camera will follow him. And he can run towards the camera, but the camera will always go and pop around real quick just to make sure. Now there's some more work we can do with the camera, without a doubt, and that's fine. We'll do that later. I just want to get this up and running as quickly as possible. And why reinvent the wheel when Unity has done such a great job here? Yeah, definitely would be changing these textures before we went into something like production. So that right there is that. Now let's go ahead and add a little bit for Ethan himself. All right, so I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call it scripts. And in my scripts folder, I am going to create a C# script. And I messed that up. I clicked off of it on accident. Go ahead and delete that, and once again create another C# script. And I am going to call this character stats. One of the hallmarks of a role-playing game are the stats that the character has. It kind of determines, well, just about everything. So we'll go ahead and open this in Visual Studio. Loading, loading, loading. And it's taking its time today. Okay, anytime. Anytime. There we go. All right. Um, so, as this continues to load, I'm going to get rid of my void and start, or my start and update. We're not going to need them here. Um, this is, it's going to look a lot like a scriptable object. Okay. Um, but I'm not going to make this a scriptable object. Goodness, I guess I could. I'll tell you what. I'm not going to make it a scriptable object right now. I might go back and change that later. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a header. I'm just getting this done early this time because this is going to be a fairly lengthy list of variables. And so I want to, that we're going to change in the inspector. And that's why we need it to be a mono behavior. Well, I mean, you can do it with the scriptable object as well. But right here, we're going to attach this script to our player and edit it from there as we go. I want to make sure that we keep it nice and clean and labeled though. So I'm going to break it up into headers. The first one is going to be general. And this is just really basic stuff about our character, okay? I'm going to say we need a name. So we're going to have a public string, and we'll call it character name. A public int, that's integer, and this is going to be for the level, for the characters level, and public bool, and this is going to be is dead. These are just general things about the character. Okay, they're not in particular stats for the character, but this is a really good place to put these things anyway, because the stats describe our character. The next section that we're going to do is we're going to call hit and magic points. So hit / magic points. And Yes, I did catch that. I messed up. Don't forget your quotes. Slash magic points. So, get my capitalization correct. So everything in here is going to relate directly to either our hit points or our magic points. In World of Warcraft, it's mana and health, but we'll go with this. So the first thing we want is a public float, and this is going to be our current HP. A public float, and this is going to be our max HP. We're going to do the same thing for our magic points. So I'm just going to copy, and I'm going to try and do this without messing anything up. If you've been following me for a little while, you know I go and copy and paste and mess things up. And just change it from current hit points to current magic points, or current MP, max MP. Then we want to allow the hit points and the magic points to regenerate all by themselves over time. So let's go ahead and do a public float and make that HP regen timer. Public float, and this will be HP regen amount. And then we'll do the exact same thing for magic points. So copy and paste, and just change that H to an M. All right, we're looking good there. The next thing that we're going to look at is attack and defense. Okay, so let's create another header, and this one we will call attack / defense. And in here, we are going to need a public float, and this will be base attack power. A public float for current attack power. A public float for base attack speed. And you guessed it, another public float for current attack speed. A public float for base defense. and a public float for current defense. And the next section is going to be stats. And these are all going to be ints, but are integers. All right. So we're going to have a public int for strength, a public int for intelligence, a public int for wisdom, a public int for dexterity, and a public int for constitution. And finally, one last section, and this will be for experience points. And here we're going to have a public float. And this will be current XP. And a public float for max XP. And the way that the experience is going to work, really simple, okay, is it's going to have max XP. That's the maximum amount of experience points that you can have and still be in this level. When your current XP meets or exceeds your max XP, then your level will increase and your max XP will increase accordingly. So that right there should give us all of the major stats that we require. Go ahead and head back to Unity, and the character stats, I want to put that on my player. Now, you're going to notice that the player has a whole bunch of stuff already attached to it. Okay, we've got the animator, rigid body, collider, the third-person user control script, and the third-person character script. It doesn't leave a lot of room here, so I'm just going to go ahead and collapse everything here. And now I'm going to go ahead and drag our character stats over here. When we get into character creation, a lot of this will get populated. For the moment, I want to, we'll go ahead and give him a name. We'll call him Ethan. Level 1. And current hit points 25. And maximum hit points 25. Current MP 25. And maximum MP 25. We'll not worry about any of the rest for the moment. And that's just because we're not going to get that coded for the moment, for right now. The next thing I want to do is create another script, and this is going to tie into our character's health. Okay, so we'll just call it health. And we'll open this in Visual Studio. For the moment, I will get rid of these. I'm not going to actually use the update at all. I am going to use UI elements. So I'm going to include or use Unity Engine .ui. And here in our class, I'm going to start by naming a few variables. A public image, which I will call health bar. A private, if I can type, private float, which I will call current XP. I'm sorry, current HP. And a private float, which I will call max HP. And a private character stats, way down there. And I'll just call this stats. So we're going to do void awake. And in here, we're going to say stats equals get component character stats. And that will finish our awake function. We're going to include a start function. And I'm going to leave it alone for the moment. Okay. I'm going to include an update. I just said that I wasn't going to, but I'm going to include an update because we're going to need it for testing. Okay. The next thing we want to do in our health script, let's see here. What can happen to our health? There are two things. We can take damage, or we can restore health, okay, or heal damage, we'll say. So let's go ahead and create a public void, not private, public void, which we will call take damage. And we'll pass into this a float that we can call amount. And in here are stats dot current HP will minus equals amount. And then a public void heal damage. And this will also take a float that we'll call amount. And here, it's going to be exactly the opposite of take damage. So stats dot current HP plus equals amount. All right. Now, up here, the first thing that we added, the first variable that we declared was an image called health bar. So we need to when we take damage, or we're going to have a health bar up on the screen. So when we take damage uh, or heal from damage, then we need to show that on the health bar. So let's go ahead and create another function. We'll make this a private function. It'll be a void, and I'll just call it update health bar. And it doesn't need to take any parameters. So in here, I'm going to say max HP is equal to stats dot max HP. And same thing with our current HP is equal to stats dot current HP. And now we need to, we're going to use the a percentage to determine the or a ratio, let's say, to determine how much of the health bar is filled. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to create a float, which I'll call ratio, and say that's equal to our current HP divided by our max HP. And that will give us that percentage. Now we do want to go ahead and contain that number. Okay, we don't want to keep taking damage and make the number negative. We don't want to keep taking damage and have the health bar could just continue going on forever, or go past our max HP. So let's go ahead and throw in an if statement. So if ratio is less than 0, then we're just going to make ratio 0. And it's going to do other things as well, obviously. But, and then if ratio is greater than 100, then ratio just equals 100. Very simple. And finally, we're going to update our health bar. I'm going to go ahead and just type this in, and then we're going to build our health bar, and I will and I'll explain exactly how this works. But whoops, health bar dot, we're going to make this a rect transform. Get rid of my caps lock. Dot local scale. And that's going to equal a new vector 3 ratio, comma 1, comma 1. And like I said, don't panic. I'm going to explain that. Also, once we, since we're taking damage and healing damage here, we want to update our health bar. So let's go ahead and throw an update health bar in there as well. I'll just go ahead and copy, and in our take damage, paste our update health bar, and in our heal damage, paste our update health bar. All right, let's go ahead and pop back in Unity. And I downloaded some art assets. Move that out of the way. Not a lot of art assets. Okay, it's like 2 pictures. But that's just for this. So let's go ahead and create a folder, and I will call it art. And just 2 pictures, bar and bar 2. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is create a UI image. And we are in 3D land now, so the UI is way over here, and it's completely in the wrong. We can't see it. Okay, this is it created a canvas, an image, and an event system. Now, for working on the UI, I'm going to hit this 2D button, and that's going to drop us into 2D mode. And then I'm going to double click on my canvas, and that will zoom out. And I'm going to take my image, okay, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to rename it health bar. And I am going to move it up here into the corner. I'm going to leave a little bit of spacing. I'll go ahead and leave a bunch of spacing. And let's see here. I'm just going to change its dimensions a little bit. See, let's say 30 by 240. And in here, I am going to drag my bar image. Whoops. In a minute, I will. Okay. For the record, I got the bar images on opengameart.org. Thank you very much, opengameart.org. Before we can actually use them on the canvas, we need to convert the images from a texture to a sprite. So click on bar, on texture type, take it off of default, and change it to sprite. That's simple. It's just a single picture, so we don't have anything else that we have to do. And I'm just going to hit apply. And you can see right here what it looks like. Then I'm going to do the same thing with bar 2. Turn it into sprite, apply, and ignore the warning here. We don't have the right width and height, okay, for DXT5 compression, and that's fine. So go ahead and click on our health bar, and we are going to drag the first bar onto there, and boom, that's our container. In our health bar, I'm going to create another UI image. And here I want to change it to, I just want to fill the health bar. And you know what? Here, I'm going to rename this from health bar to health bar container. Because this is going to be the actual health bar. And in here, we're going to drag bar 2. And there you go. Our health bar container, you will notice, is it's not anchored there. All right, I do want to anchor it there. So I'm just going to grab my anchor points and bring them up here. And put them here. Just on the corners. And that way, if the screen size or aspect should change, the health bar will remain exactly where it's at. One other thing with my health bar, okay, I hit the stretch to get it into position, but I don't want to leave it there, okay? I actually want to Shift and Alt to change the pivot to the all the way to the left center. And the reason why, since it's a child of the health bar container, then we don't have to worry about it being affected by different screen sizes. But the reason we're doing this is because back here in our health script, what we're doing is we're telling the health bar to change its size, okay, based on the ratio that we determined up here. And we want it to, I mean, we could, if we didn't change it to left center, left middle, then it would fill out from the center of the health bar. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, if you want it to do that, fantastic. It's just for the purposes here, I'm trying to keep this somewhere in the neighborhood of World of Warcraft, so it fills from the left to the right. The next thing we want to do is go to our player, minimize that. I'm going to drag the health script onto him, and I just need to drag the health bar image right there. And if we hit play, we can at least see how it looks. All right, so we got Ethan, there's our health bar. We can't do anything with the health bar right now. I mean, we can, technically. We can go to the health bar and change the scale. All right, in which case you see, boom, 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 boom. It doesn't work quite right because we're not doing it programmatically. We're just dragging. So let's go ahead and stop. And let's set it so we can test it programmatically. And on my health, or I'm sorry, on my start, I want to do an update health bar there also. Okay, just to kick things off. All right. For testing purposes, and let me go ahead and just throw a comment in here. It says for testing. Remove this code. I'm going to do an if statement. If input dot get mouse button down 0. So if it detects that I pressed the left mouse button, then I'm going to do take damage and pass it 5.0F. And I'm just going to copy, paste, and do 1, and change this to heal. All right, so if I press the left mouse button, we're going to do take damage for 5 health. If I press the right mouse button, then we're going to do heal damage for 5. And that will allow us to test how this works. All right. Taking damage, healing damage. Might need to... Whoops, it's letting me go higher. Okay. So there's some minor adjustment that needs to go there, but that'll be fine for now. Now there's one other thing that we need to do, and that is going to be our magic points. Okay, so I'm going to create a script, and I'm just going to call this magic. Open this up in Visual Studio, and this is going to go a whole lot faster. Because we're going to do everything in our power to break this by going and grabbing the health script, and here I'm just gonna copy, Control C, back over here, Control V. We got a lot of alterations to do, but all right, and all right, we're gonna call this magic. In fact, yeah, that's okay. I'll do it the hard way. Here, MP, and rename. There we go. And so all we're doing here is just updating or changing things from hit points to magic points. And this is not everything yet, okay? Because as it happens, okay, we're not taking damage and healing damage anymore, okay? So I'm going to change this from take damage to use magic points. which is fine. MP, and then here I'm going to put restore magic points. And we're going to change that to an MP. All right. And then they go and they update the magic bar. And woo! One more set of MPs. All right, right there. And right here. And here's the really rough part. Okay. We have no way of, it won't throw an error at all if we've got it wrong. So here we're going to do use magic points and restore magic points. Now this is going to affect the health and the magic at the same time, the hit points and the magic points at the same time. That's fine. But that should be everything. We'll go give it one more once over. Okay, and we are good. Okay, back in here, I am going to take our health bar container. I'm going to duplicate it. And I'm going to rename it to Magic. And we'll rename our health bar to Magic Bar. And I'm going to take my magic bar container and I'm just gonna drop it right here like so. And we don't want the magic bar to be the same color as the health bar. So I'm going to pop in here. I'm going to change this, give it a bluish tinge. Okay, that's a lot of blue. There we go. And do need to set its anchor points here. All right. Then give me health for it. All right. Really? Thank you. That's close enough. Okay, so back here in Ethan, I'm going to drag the magic script and give it the magic bar. Make sure we save and give this a test. So boom, 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 boom. I have to fix that still, but I will. It's just it's not super important right now, but it gives us a little bit of some looks. Okay, and a heads-up display method of determining the where our health and magic are at right away. This has run a little bit longer than I thought it would, so in the next video we will go ahead and implement our network and so that we can start doing cool things like combat and quests. So thank you very much for watching this, and if you liked it, give it a thumbs up. And once again, if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.